Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This video is about urinary incontinence. Basically, I have compiled several past exam questions together, and I'm going to discuss those with you. Okay, so the first question is that maneuvers are advised to the patient for stress incontinence to augment the effect of pelvic floor exercises. What type of therapy is this? This question basically came in September 2017 and September 2020 as well. And the options were biofeed, conservative, and salvage. Okay, the answer, most probable answer that was decided was biofeed. And you can see the biofeed in EBM on page 739. Second question, a 60 years old patient after VH and anterior and posterior repair came on 7th post-operative day with a complaint of urinary incontinence. Which of the following is the most likely cause? Okay, this patient had VH and after VH came with urinary incontinence, and the options are stress incontinence, urge incontinence, and dyspareunia. Okay, the answer is stress incontinence. Okay, and I have written handy points as well. I would like to discuss that with you. That most likely complication after VH plus anterior repair is that of stress incontinence. Okay, when a question is about urinary incontinence after VH and anterior repair, then stress incontinence should be chosen. But if it is about TH, then you should choose vesicovaginal fistula and wall prolapse. Okay, you can check this from the Shaw's book about the fistula repair. Okay, references from there. A patient had voiding difficulty about 6 hours postpartum. Which of the following is the least likely cause of the problem? Okay, least likely cause is asked, and patient had delivery after 6 hours. She's having voiding difficulties. Okay, options are oxytocin infusion after delivery. Yes, this oxytocin infusion can cause the problem of voiding. Okay, and preeclampsia, that is ambiguous. Vulval hematoma, yes, it can cause. Excessive caffeine intake, yes, it can cause. So we are left with the option of preeclampsia. I think only this is the one which doesn't cause the problem of voiding. So option B is the answer basically. Okay, now coming to the question number 4, which came in September 2018. A 50 years old patient had anterior repair for pelvic organ prolapse. Okay, anterior repair for pelvic organ prolapse. At the end of operation, blood-stained urine is noticed. What is the most appropriate next step in the management? Blood-stained urine is noticed. So we have the different options like bladder washout. Okay, that will not solve the problem too much. Cystoscopy, keep catheterize until the clear urine is drained, and remove the catheter and insert the new one. After discussion on different social media, it was decided that B is the answer, that is cystoscopy. Okay, now coming to the another exam question. Question number 5. Patient with a moderate cystocele plus rectocele and urinary stress incontinence and no uterine prolapse. Okay, there is no uterine prolapse, but cystocele and rectocele is there. Okay, and along with the urinary stress incontinence. So among the different options, we have anterior repair with the midurethral tape. Yes, it can solve the problem of cystocele and stress incontinence. Hysterectomy should be conserved for the patient who are in the postmenopausal age, or those who have completed their family. Anterior colpocephaly, little bit problem can be solved. Birch colpo suspension, sacrocolpopaxy, that is for wall prolapse, is sacrocolpopaxy. So among the given option A would be the best one. So A. Okay, now among the handy point, it is written that if the option is given like that anterior colpocephaly and posterior perineal go for that, because there we have rectocele as well. So as this is a recall question, so the means the option might be deficient. but in the different MCQ books, it is seen that anterior colpocephaly and posterior perineophyly is given. So if that is given, go for that. Okay. Now, coming to question number 6, a patient had vaginal hysterectomy. She had got injury to the lower urinary tract along with the vagina and presented with persistent urinary leaking. There is no urgency or dysuria, and MSU was normal. How to confirm the diagnosis? Okay. So, from the history, okay, from the scenario, it looks like this patient has got fistula, right? Because she has got injury to the lower urinary tract along with the vagina and presented with persistent urinary leaking. So for that, we would like to go for 3 swab test, D. Okay, now question number 7. 40 years old patient with TH for DOB had urinary incontinence. What is the diagnosis? Uterovaginal fistula, vesicovaginal fistula, stress incontinence, and ureterovaginal fistula. Now, as I've explained before, if we check the Shaw's book for fistula chapter, we would come to know that most probable diagnosis of urinary incontinence after TH is that of vesicovaginal fistula. So B would be the answer. Okay, more chances of fistula with TH and more chances of stress incontinence with VH references fistula chapter of Shaw's. Now, question number 8, which came in January 2019 exam. Patient came with urological symptoms on coughing and sneezing. She has got hypermobile urethra. Which of the following is the best investigation to find out the cause? Hypermobile. Okay, hypermobile urethra. We have options like cystometry, cystoscopy, urinary, and stress test. So we would go for stress test because for hypermobile test, that is the better option, because if urodynamic testing is given, we have to go for that. Okay, so D is the answer. If urodynamic testing is given in the option, we have to go for that. Now coming to question number 9. Okay, 50 years old woman presents with watery vaginal discharge that started 2 weeks after anterior vaginal wall repair for moderate anterior vaginal wall prolapse. What is the appropriate next step in the management? Examination under anesthesia and cystoscopy with methylene blue test. Okay, high vaginal swab for culture and sensitivity, intravenous urography including cystography, MRI, and pelvic scan. Okay, so this patient has got constant watery discharge after anterior vaginal wall repair. If patient has got constant watery discharge 2 weeks after vaginal wall repair, then the first thing would that be, okay, this high vaginal swab, this watery discharge needs to be excluded. Okay, for that we need to do the high vaginal swab. So B is the answer. Okay, short-term complication after VH plus anterior repair is that of urinary retention, mostly due to UTI, and also in this scenario we have to rule out the vaginal discharge. Okay, now cystocele with stress incontinence, we have different options. So Burge, TVT, and Manchester, we would go for TVT. Okay, now patient with the mild cystocele. Okay, with the mild cystocele and urinary symptoms, BMI 25, best plan of the management would be Burch-Colpo suspension. TVT is a bit difficult to be done in case of the patient with a BMI 25. So in that case, Burch-Colpo suspension is the best option. Okay. Now, a patient, 26-year-old patient with BMI 30, presented with genuine stress incontinence and cystocele, no rectocele was identified. Which of the following is the best treatment of choice in her case? Burch-Colpo suspension, TVT, pelvic floor exercises, and bladder retraining, AP repair. So Burch-Colpo suspension is the better option. Okay. Okay, now, patient with a large cystocele with urinary frequency and recurrent UTI, most appropriate treatment would that be TVT, TOT, sling, and Birch-Calpo suspension are given. For a large cystocele along with the incontinence, we would go for Birch-Calpo suspension. You have to remember that. Okay. So the explanation which I have written is that as there is increased risk of urinary incontinence in TVT, so preferred method of management would be Birch-Calpo suspension. So whenever we have cystocele along with incontinence, go for Birch. Whenever BMI is high, go for Birch. Okay. Now coming to question number 40. 38 years old, para 4, complains of something coming out of vagina. On examination, it was second degree UV along with marked cystocele plus ractocele. Cystocele plus ractocele, so we have to repair that. AP repair need to be done. And treatment of the choice would that be Birch-Calpo suspension, TVT, anterior repair, Callies repair, and anterior colporhappy, posterior perineal happy, VH plus AP repair. VH will not be done because she is 38 years old. Okay, so it would be better to do D, anterior corpore happy and posterior perineal happy. As she is young patient, so go for D instead of opting for VH straight away. Okay. Now question number 15, cystocele with enterocele. Okay, in that what would we do? Anterior repair plus colpor perineal happy, TVT, Callies repair, and anterior colpor happy. So A would be the better option. Now, question number 16. In patient with a progressive secondary dysmenorrhea and dyspareunia, the investigation of choice would that be laparoscopy, ultrasound abdomen, and TVS. Progressive dysmenorrhea and dyspareunia. So, although the first line in that case would be ultrasound, but laparoscopy would be preferred. So, A is the answer. Now, patient with recurrent microscopic hematuria had hemorrhagic spot on cystoscopy. Diagnosis that bladder pain syndrome, interstitial cystitis, chronic cystitis. Hemorrhagic spots indicate interstitial cystitis, so B is the answer. Another question which came in January 2020. A woman with dyspareunia and chronic pelvic pain, recurrent microscopic hematuria with a painful bladder filling during urodynamic and hemorrhagic spot on cystoscopy. What is the probable diagnosis? So again, interstitial cystitis. Okay, now treatment of overactive bladder, extended release oxybutynin, behavioral therapy and tolterodine, duloxetine, biofeed, lifestyle changes, and pelvic floor muscle training. Okay, so I would go for behavioral therapy and tolterodine. Tolterodine is basically for overactive bladder. Okay, and I have written a note about it that for overactive bladder, choose tolterodine first, then sulfasalazine. Okay, so whenever overactive bladder comes, go for tolterodine. If that is not given, then go for sulfasalazine. Okay, mnemonic I have written ST, OT, and DS. Okay, ST means for stress incontinence, choose duloxetine. For overactive bladder, choose tolterodine. For detrusor overactivity, choose sulfasalazine. Okay, so ST, OT, and DS, in this way you will remember it. Now, 52 years old lady on her 12th post-op day after VH plus APA repair, most likely complication. Okay, now here the question doesn't say about incontinence. If the question is about incontinence after VH and IP repair, then go for genuine stress incontinence. And if that is in case of the TH, then go for fistula. But here the question is about most likely complication. If most likely complication is asked, then go for bleeding instead. Okay, answer is C. Reference is basically RCOG consent advice form 5. If you study that, you would come to know about all these complications. Okay, and it is written that most frequent complication of vaginal hysterectomy is urinary infection, retention or frequency, vaginal bleeding, and post-operative pain or difficulty or pain with intercourse, wound infection. Okay, and if you check the percentage, bleeding percentage is the highest, and also in the question there is nothing mentioned about incontinence, so we would go for bleeding as the most likely complication after VH here. Okay, now coming to the question number 21, which came in August 2018 exam, that a patient came with urgency, UTI was ruled out and no incontinence was found on screening, but as she was unable to go to washroom, what investigation would like to do? Urodynamic testing, cystoscopy, IVP. Okay, as UTI has been ruled out, okay, and she has got urgency, so it would be better to do urodynamic testing if that is given A. And another question is a bit easy. Which of the following is the most common type of the fistula? Vesicovaginal fistula. Okay. Now another question. A patient with cystoscopy with urinary status incontinence. Most appropriate management would that be? That is basically a D. Okay, you need to correct it. It's D basically. Purge, as I have explained before. Okay, now question number 24. 70 years para 5 with postmenopausal for 2 years comes with complaint of incontinence, urgency and urgent incontinence. Which of the following is the most likely cause? Urge incontinence basically refers to the detrusor overactivity, so A is the answer. Now coming to question number 25. In a patient with a wall prolapse, what is the cause of the recurrent prolapse? Pelvic floor, muscle weakness, childbirth trauma, chronic cough. Okay, wall prolapse. The wall prolapse just comes, so we wouldn't go for the childbirth trauma. Pelvic floor, muscle weakness. That is, yes, that is the most likely cause. And this question came in January 19 FCPS Part 2 exam. Okay, now in January 19 exam also this question came, like 30 years old patient with a third degree UVA prolapse. So what are the choices in the management? Sacrohysteropaxy, VH and Manchester. And after discussion a lot on different social medias like Telegram and WhatsApp, we came to know that sacrohysteropaxy is the most likely answer. Okay, A is the answer. Okay, if we talk about 30 years old patient with third degree UVA prolapse, we would choose that in this order, like hysteropaxy, Manchester, sling, ring. If the question is about second degree UVA prolapse, then we would go for ring, Passery, sling, hysteropaxy and Manchester. We would go in that order. Okay, that depends upon the type of the question being asked. Okay, now coming to question 27. 60 years old woman with a second degree UVA prolapse, which of the following is the most likely management? Now as this patient is 60 years old, so we would go for VH. B is the answer. Which of the following is the most common cause of the prolapse? Most common cause of prolapse, as you know, is that of the most common cause of prolapse is that of the B, childbirth. Okay, is I think it's not A, it is B. Okay, so you need to correct it. It is B. Okay, a 40 years old patient with stress incontinence, which of the following is the most suitable? That is TVT, pelvic floor exercises, bladder retraining. So for stress incontinence, TVT is the answer. Okay, stress incontinence, we have to go for TVT. Okay, now coming to question number 30. You review a patient in gynae ward. She had TVT and post-operative 48 hours catheterization. After removal of the catheter, she had urinary retention. How long would you catheterize her for? You would catheterize her for at least 24 or free drain. Okay, that is recommended. These are all very important questions which I have compiled from the past papers, which were basically collected by the different students in handwriting, and I wrote those for you. Okay, and the objective of the surgical intervention to treat urinary incontinence A. Provide tension support to the distal urethra, provide tension-free support to the bladder neck, provide tension support to the bladder neck, and provide tension-free support to the distal urethra, provide tension-free support to the proximal urethra. The answer is B. Okay, surgical management would provide tension-free support to the bladder neck. Okay, now coming to the question number 32. A 60 years old multigravida with acute urinary retention, which the following is the cause. Okay, if we talk about the most probable cause of acute urinary retention in the 60 years old, then UTI would be the choice. C is the answer. C. First choice is UTI, and second choice is cystocele, third choice is UV prolapse. Now coming to the questions of the pelvic organ prolapse. Okay, commonest cause of the UV prolapse is that of the childbirth. Okay, this was previously written as well, and that was basically a mistake. It was not pregnancy, it was childbirth. So commonest cause of UV prolapse is that of the childbirth. Okay, and you can also check that from the EBM. I have written an important note as well. Most common cause of the uterine prolapse is the trauma during the childbirth, in particular multiple or difficult births, and about 50% of women who have had children develop some form of the pelvic organ prolapse in their lifetime. It is more common as the women get older, particularly in those who have gone through the menopause. Okay, now coming to the question number 2 relating to the prolapse. A patient had moderate cystocele plus rectocele plus no uterine prolapse, which of the following is the most suitable type of the repair in this case. Okay, this patient has got cystocele and rectocele moderate type, so we would go for repair anterior colpohyphy and posterior perineohyphy. So C is the answer. Now, this question came in January 2020. A 65-year-old woman presents with the sensation of the walled vaginal lump, and she had a total abdominal hysterectomy for heavy periods 30 years ago. Examination reveals a wall prolapse on POPQ scoring system, which point correspond to vaginal wall. And if you study the POPQ classification in RCUJ guideline about post-hysterectomy wall prolapse, you would come to know that the C is the answer. Okay, answer is C. Now, a patient had cervical elongation of +2 and urinary symptoms. So, which procedure would you prefer? Fothergill procedure, sacrocolpopexy, Hatch-Pessary, and symptomatic management. So, Fothergill procedure means A is the answer. Okay, and also in a young patient with second degree cervical descent and mild cystocele, Fothergill repair. A is the answer. Okay, now come to the question number 6. 55-year-old para 1 with the second degree cervical descent. VH Fothergill Pessary, Paradhan operation, sacrocolpopexy. So in that case, C would be the most probable option. C. Now another question. Prolapse causing hydronephrosis and hydroureter due to. It is also an exam question. Came in 2 or 3 exams. Prolapse causing hydronephrosis and hydroureter due to which cause? Anterior compartment prolapse. Madeline type ligament was stretched in relation to the ureter. Prolapse putting pressure on the mid-ureter, and uterine arteries were stretched causing the pressure on the bladder. Prolapse causing obstruction on the bladder. Okay, so in prolapse, why is hydroureter and hydronephrosis? Most probably due to prolapse causing obstruction on the bladder or putting pressure on the bladder. So E is the answer. Pressure on the bladder can cause backward hydroureter. That was the suggestion. Okay, now coming to the question number 8. In question number 8, wall prolapse and posterior wall repair. Previously, again, posterior vaginal wall prolapse along with the symptoms. What would be the most appropriate treatment? In January 19th, this question came. And we had different options like shelf pessary, posterior wall repair with the mesh, Hatch-Pessary, and sacrocolpopexy. For wall prolapse, we would go for sacrocolpopexy. D is the answer. Now, this question came in August 2018 exam. that a patient with something coming out vagina on examination, the most descending part of the prolapse is about 1 centimeter proximal to the hymen, which of the following is the POCQ stage. There's a separate video about the POCQ classification, and if the descending part is 1 centimeter proximal to the hymen, that is basically the stage 1. Okay, so B is the answer. Okay, now question number 10. A patient underwent cesarean hysterectomy about 5 years ago with the previous 3 cesarean section. Now has got walled prolapse. Which of the following is the most best management plan? Abdominal sacrocolpopexy, laparoscopic sacrocolpopexy, sacrospinous fixation. Okay, so in that case, as this patient is of previous 3 cesarean sections, so multiple cesarean section history is there, so we would go for abdominal sacrocolpopexy. A is answer. If there is no previous history of previous multiple cesarean sections or multiple surgeries, then laparoscopic sacrocolpopexy is preferred in that case. Remember this point. Note is that if old and unfit woman, then sacrospinous fixation. Okay, if young patient, then abdominal sacrocolpopexy, laparoscopy is not preferred because of multiple adherence due to previous 3 scars. That is the explanation. Okay, now 72 years old patient came with a multiple medical condition and procedentia with decubitus ulcer. Decubitus ulcer is there. We have the options like ring pastry with estrogen, VH and repair, and colpoclesis. Okay, so in that case, it would be better to prescribe estrogen, ring pastry and estrogen, 72 years old patient. Okay, so A is the answer. Okay, looking at the age of the patient, first we would go for the non-invasive method. That was the suggestion by the different people after discussion. Okay, now looking 60 years old patient came with a posterior vaginal wall prolapse, and she has got history of wall prolapse and posterior wall prolapse surgery. What is the most appropriate now? Shelf pastry, Hodge pastry, and posterior repair with a mesh. I think posterior repair with a mesh would be the most appropriate answer, as she has got posterior vaginal wall prolapse. Okay, and she has history of the prolapse as well. Okay, now there is 75-year-old patient, 75-year-old frail patient with a 3rd-degree urine prolapse, known to be diabetic and hypertensive as well, along with the decubitus ulcer, which is the following is the treatment choice. Lee Ford. Yes, you have to remember that in older patients who are no longer sexually active, a simple procedure for reducing the prolapse is partial colpoclesis, and the procedure was described by Lee Ford and involves the removal of the strip of the anterior and posterior vaginal wall with the closure of the margin of anterior and posterior vaginal wall together. Okay, now coming to the question number 40. Which of the following procedures associated with the deviation of the vaginal axis? We have different options like laparoscopic sacrocolpopexy, sacrospinous fixation, and Burch colposuspension. Okay, deviation of vaginal wall is caused by the sacrospinous fixation. We have searched this on internet and we came to this conclusion. Basically, these are past exam questions, so very important questions these are. Okay, now BMI 32, patients with the wall prolapse 1 month after VH. What is the management of this choice? For wall prolapse, we would go for the sacrospinous fixation. C is answer. Best for post-hysterectomy wall prolapse is that of the sacrocolpopexy. A is answer. Okay, now after hysterectomy, a patient with a wall prolapse with the following procedure will prevent enterocele and hysterocele. If we prevent enterocele after hysterectomy, if we study the RCG guideline for post-hysterectomy wall prolapse, we would come to know that McCall chondroplasty is the one which prevents the enterocele after hysterectomy. So B is the answer. Now, 60-year-old lady had UV prolapse. What to do? VH, PAS3, colpoclesis. As she is 60-year-old, so VH would be the answer. Colpoclesis procedure, which is preferred in an old frail lady. The main disadvantage of colpoclesis is difficulty in getting access to the uterus and the cervix, so it would not be preferred. Now, we have 52 years old lady with 3rd-degree urine prolapse having no urinary complaints and wants to preserve the sexual activity. What to do in her case. Okay, she wants to preserve her sexual activity, as she's got UV prolapse, mean uterine and vaginal prolapse as well, so it would be better to do repair along with the VH. So B is the answer, VH plus repair. Now question number 20, risk of vaginal prolapse in the woman, that is basically vaginal prolapse is also, that is 50%. Okay, important with this percentage to remember if the question is about post-hysterectomy wall prolapse. So if the cause is UV prolapse, okay, if the hysterectomy was done due to UV prolapse, then the risk of post-hysterectomy wall prolapse is 1 to 6%. If the cause is not UV prolapse, then 1 to 5%. Now, the last question, post VH for third degree UV prolapse, patient presented with subsequently wall prolapse. What is the most possible cause of the subsequent recurrence? Chronic coughing, chronic cough, chronic straining, chronic cough, pelvic floor weakness, and childbirth trauma. So that is asked about the wall prolapse. Basically, the pelvic floor weakness causes the wall prolapse. C is the answer.